In a previous video, I mentioned that 2.2 million people are incarcerated in the United States. A portion of those are medical professionals. The reality is that being a medical professional doesn't make you immune to going to jail. If you haven't seen that previous video, you should watch it after you watch this one. I helped draw a line to explain what kinds of HIPAA violations may lead to criminal sentences. But then the next question is, have there been actual instances where violating HIPAA landed the culprit in the big house? Hi everyone, I'm Matt from eTactics, and today I'm going to give you real-world examples of HIPAA violations that led to jail sentences. Before we get started though, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the button below. While you're down there, hit that alert bell icon next to it as well, so when we post new helpful content, you get notified. So let's get right into it. The first real-world example I have for you happened in February of 2017. The former employee gave his personal email address access to a shared Google Drive that contained PHI files of patients. Roughly 1 month after his actions, the organization realized that someone remotely accessed and downloaded PHI from its database. The organization then reached out to the FBI and launched an investigation with them. Investigators were able to pinpoint the former employee as the bad actor by tracing the actions back to the IP address of his personal computer. Once law enforcement went to his house and found his personal computer, they located the stolen data. They also found additional PHI files from his employer 2 jobs before. In other words, this wasn't the former analyst's first time stealing sensitive data from where he used to work. As a result, the court case that followed sentenced the former employee to 30 days in prison and a $14,941 fine. This case serves as a precedent for future scenarios involving employees stealing PHI from their employer to sell it on the black market or dark web. Bad actors put a high price tag on sensitive data like PHI, which might lure disgruntled workers to try and steal it for monetary gain. Second, in 2018, a 65-year-old gynecologist in Massachusetts faced up to 6 years in jail for a $300,000 fine for lying to federal investigators and breaking the HIPAA privacy rule. The gynecologist in question gave a pharmaceutical sales rep access to PHI to complete pre-authorization forms for insurance companies that weren't approving the sales rep's organization's prescriptions. Further, the healthcare professional faced accusations of receiving $23,000 to prescribe drugs produced by the same pharmaceutical company. But instead of admitting to receiving payment, the gynecologist reassured federal investigators that the money was for speaking at educational events and for writing a research paper. To make matters worse, the professional told the sales rep to tell the same lies to back up her story. When sentencing came for this case, the judge was rather lenient though. The gynecologist didn't face any fines, only needed to serve 1 year probation and permanently lost her license. The judge opted for a lesser sentence because the gynecologist had charitable history work in helping impoverished women in her area. Now the final real-world HIPAA violation that I have for you where the culprit ended up with criminal charges happened from 2016 to 2017. A nursing home had an employee logging into their computer system to access and steal the financial information of its patients. The employee used the stolen data to her advantage by purchasing multiple different items for herself and her family. The court scheduled her sentencing hearing for June 21, 2018. The expectation was that she would spend up to 10 years in prison, pay a $250,000 fine, and pay restitution for the victims of her fraud scheme. There are similarities between the criminal acts she committed in the first real-world example I gave earlier. However, her motive wasn't to sell PHI in the black market. Instead, she actively recorded and used financial information of the patients staying at the nursing home that she worked at. After explaining each real-world scenario, it's very obvious why these HIPAA violations stand out from the majority. Each instance had a malicious motive behind it. It's not that they violated HIPAA, it's that they did it willingly, knowingly, and to gain something in return, which in these cases was financial gain. Due to the malicious motives, the culprits all had to learn from their mistakes as incarcerated inmates. If you'd like to learn more about HIPAA violations, reach out to eTactics. And you already made it this far into the video, so you might as well like it, share it, and comment below. Well, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to our YouTube channel.